Welcome all, Boone here from EWPRO. So we'll get straight into the weekly outlook again. DXY, we're still within this downtrend. We haven't broken out yet. So longer term, I am looking for this like A, B, C up here, at least an A, B, C retracement before we get any more downside. We may get a bit more downside in here before we break, but once we get a break of the trend line, we should be looking at that larger correction. So if we go down to H4, it may been looking at this as an A, B, C in the B wave and then a C down. Now we have to see if this wave C down is finished on the lower time frames. Lost me MACD, there it is. So if we go down to H1, so there is that possible flat for more upside, an A, B, and C. And here on the H1, we have like a W, X, Y. Will we get an X and then a Z down? More than likely, because this is looking corrective here. So we really need a break. For the buy, you really need a break out of, I dare say we'll get a Z down for an A, some sort of B, and then a C, a Z down, wait for the break, little flag, and then look for the buy. For the sell, I mean, you can, if you're looking for the sell, well, you can look for the break. Pretty risky to go and break the low, but I do think that this, at this stage, I'm looking at this as a running or expanding flat for more upside. AU on the daily, pretty much the same. The 100 fibs right up here for the C wave, we're still within this uptrend, and it looks like we're getting a bullish flag up here on the daily. On the H4, we do have that bearish divergence. It's not really giving us anything at the moment. It's in some sort of correction. We do have bear hidden here. We do have bear hidden here. So more than likely we'll get one more down before we get more upside, if we going to get more upside. But yeah, we're in a really tricky spot at the moment. We do have that bear hidden, so more than likely this low will get broken before we get any more upside, unless we get the larger retracement. Like I've been saying last week, eventually we will get a deeper, larger correction on the daily, because we do have that bearish divergence forming. EU. Again, we have bearish divergence in the C up. The 100 fib on the C up is right up here. We're still within that trend. We're still within this bullish trend. So I dare say we may get more upside. There's no real flag or anything. We'll have a look down on the lower time frames. We got 5 up on the H4 with bearish divergence. We have this one wave down here. So sort of can look at this as an A, B, C in here, and then we get that larger A, B, C before we get more upside, if that's what we're going to do, if we're going to follow that daily trend. Well, there's no real setup. That's the problem. This week there's no real setup. So you're looking at this A, B, C in here, and then we get that. Well, this is pretty choppy as well because we have this little flat in here. We are getting bearish divergence. There's no sell setup on it, unfortunately, at this stage. So you really need to wait for an impulse down and bear flag to sell, unless you're bullish, and you'll have to wait for a bullish flag. This most likely will be a flat for more upside. We'll have to watch this and see what setups we get, whether we get a bullish setup or a bearish setup. It's pretty much the same on all of them. That DXY, we're still within that trend, that downtrend on DXY. Pretty much the same on all the pairs. So eventually they will turn and give that larger correction. GU, we got Z up. We got the bearish divergence. We're still within the trend. We have a weekly 100 fib here. So price can go up to the weekly 100 fib before we get that downside. Very, very risky to be buying this. It's so choppy. We're getting higher highs, but they're not going. So it's very risky. Like we're getting high here, pull back, high, then coming back, high, then coming back, high, then coming back, high, then coming back. May get another high, but eventually this will break. We're waiting for that break, basically. Very risky to be buying up here, in my opinion. We've got a lot of bearish divergence. And there's no real sell set up yet either. On the H1, I was hoping we'd get a little flag in here. But this is looking like A, B, C for another one up. So yeah, it's not giving a bear setup. If you're looking for the buy, the safest place to buy is just above this top, and if this is the low here, well, you stop loss. It's not going to really give you that risk reward. At the 100 fib, very risky. I'll be staying out of this pair until we get that break and a nice bear setup. Then I'll jump on it. NZ, New Zealand dollar, USD. We're getting that C up, the 100 fibs. We sort of got a break out of here, so we may get some more upside. If you're looking for the buy, this would be the one to buy because we have broken this trend line. broken this trend line, and we're building a little corrective pattern in here on the H1. So we may get something on this, more like a flat. Got a couple of sharp moves in it. Sharp move down, sharp move up. So you could put a buy stop just above the top there. If you get triggered, have your stop loss. Yeah, this one might be the better option if you're looking for those buys still, because we can go and break this top here. We do have bullish hidden divergence here, so we can go and break that top. So yeah, if you're looking for the buys, this would be one of the better options in my opinion to be looking to trade. UI, very messy down the bottom. We're still within the daily trend here. Nothing's really changed from last week. We're going to get this just up to here and then fall over again for this pattern in here. And then we get the Z down over here. Or this is the end and we get that larger break when it's ready to go. On the H4, we're getting a nice correction in here. So yeah, wait for the break and a little flag, and then definitely buy. At least move to break even when you get the break of this top, and you're looking at the 100 fib at least for your first target. First target will be around the 100 fib here, 105.14. So that might be a nice trade if we get the setup. Just waiting for that setup. So on the H1, we may be getting a little flag in here. It's still forming. You may get a little flag in here. USDJPY. We're still within this downtrend, like all the rest of them, pretty much. Will it break out? We do have that bullish divergence, and it's only going to be a matter of time before we get a nice move to the upside. This can still come down and break this low and still within this trend line, but eventually it's going to go. So really only looking for the buys. Very risky to be start to sell when we have all this divergence. This one's very similar to UY. You know, we're getting this correction here. Wait for a little buy setup and buy. It looks like it's giving a sell setup at the moment. Getting a little bear flag in here. So you might have like a W, X, Y, X, and then we'll get that Z down before breaking this low, giving us that bullish divergence. If we get that bullish divergence, well then, yeah, definitely draw your trend line, wait for the break and flag, and buy. I'm not really interested in this, like the sells. I mean, you can take this bear flag sell here if it gives you the setup, but yeah, very risky to be selling. It'll be a scalp just to you definitely want to be at the break even at the break of the low, because we most likely will get that bearish divergence then. UCAD getting bullish divergence. Heaps of bullish divergence, but still no, we're still within that downtrend, so nothing is over. This is actually, might go to this chart here. For the buy, you really need to wait for this to break out. We're getting a lot of bullish divergence now, so if we do get a nice, this looking like a nice impulse, if we get a little bull flag, look for that buy. Ideally, it goes and breaks this top here in this impulse here, and then gives a nice correction or a bullish flag, something to buy. That should be a nice nice setup. This can also be like a flat. So around the 100 fib, you're going to have to be careful, because this may be just an A, B, C for more downside as a running flat. So you'll have to watch for that as well. That's why it's important that we wait for that setup up here. You need that setup to buy. Without the setup, you can't just jump into it. UI. Still very slow. All this I've been saying, very slow, very choppy. We are just about breaking this top here. So we get that A, B, C, and then we should get more downside. I'm waiting for, it's so choppy, very difficult to trade. We got a break in the top here. So ideally, what we're waiting for, this is looking more bullish in here, more upside. But eventually, we're going to get this trend line break, and then wait for the correction on the break of the trend line to at least go down to this trend line. So we're looking for price to come down to at least this daily trend line. Then we'll see if we get a bounce off of it, or it breaks through and we get that larger correction. At this stage, there really isn't a buy or a sell on it. There's so much bearish divergence that it's really difficult to buy. Very risky to buy. Got a sharp move down, sharp move up. So more than likely, this is a flat for more upside. But we'll have to see if we get a bearish setup on it. If we get a bearish setup, I'll be looking for the sell. Because where we are on the daily, I'm looking at this as the impulse, correction, impulse. Gold. Like I said last week, we'll probably be in this correction here for a long, long time on the weekly. If you look at the weekly, looking for a correction like this. So this could be choppy for a long time. Not really expecting the top to be broken. Like I said last week, we did break out of this trend here, come straight back under the trend line. So more than likely it's a flat. Like we get an A, B, C for the flat in here before we get more downside. Sort of the way I'm looking at it at the moment. I don't think, yeah, see we had that bear hidden. Got that bear hidden. So I was looking for this to go and break the low. So look for yourselves. I'm in the sell up here somewhere, still in the trade, in the sell, sort of giving an expanding flat in here. So really need to wait for a flag, need to wait for something to sell. It's not really giving a self setup at this stage. On the H1, it's just one wave up. Would have been nice if it gave this and then a bear flag in here. It's given a sharp move up for more of a bullish flag, so you may get a little buy setup. I'm really not interested in the buy. It's too high. And we're in that weekly large correction, so you know, it's going to be choppy. WTI, and that's C up, like most of the pairs. The 100 fibs around the 65.80 level. We're in that uptrend still on the daily. H4 trend is still holding as well, so we may get more upside on this one. It's going to be pretty risky, but yeah, because we do have a lot of divergence. That's the problem. We've got a lot of divergence. But this may not be over. If you get a little bull flag, you know, you could buy this. Looks like we are getting, oh, it's not really a, we've got a nice sharp move up. If we get some sort of a pattern in here, something to buy in here after a trend line break, we'll then look for that buy. Might be a nice buy. Definitely want your stop loss around here. But we do have that bull divergence here as well. So yeah, look for that buy. There's still plenty of room on the daily, up to the 60, what was it, 60 something, 65.80. So there's still a lot of room to the upside. Bitcoin, looking for that larger correction as well, same as gold pretty much. We're looking for that larger correction. H4, sort of got sharp move down, sharp move up. Then here's our correction here. So I dare say we get an A, B, C, and then we get a larger A, B, C. And then maybe more upside and break that top, or we just stay in that large correction like on the daily. before, and this just turns into a corrective pattern after a corrective pattern. Like on the daily, because on the daily we're looking for a correction similar size to this over here. So this can take quite some time. We still haven't crossed down on the MACD or anything yet, so it's going to take a long time. It could be very choppy for quite some time. So you'll have to trade it on the lower time frames and scalp basically. So on the H1, like I showed on the H4, I'm looking for this. So get a little flag in here, look for that buy, then look for an impulse down, a little bear set up to sell for this one, A, B, C. So you might get a couple of trades on it this week, just scalping, you know. SPX go and break the top. I was in that buy, like I said last week. I was in that buy around here somewhere. I got out of the buy when we started to get this. I thought I'll get out. This looks like it's going back up again now. But if we have a look on the daily, we're getting a bearish divergence. We're getting this channel or rising wedge sort of a channel. It's breaking the top and it's coming straight back down. So breaking out, then coming down, breaking out, and then we'll probably come down before we get another one. For the sell, I'm really, because we have so much divergence, it's very risky buying. Why this trend holds here, you can look for the buys, but ideally we get a breakdown in here, bear flag, and then look for the sell, at least down to the bottom trend line. So that's what I'll be looking for this week. Even if this breaks the top, I'll draw. If this breaks the top up here, I'll draw a trend line in here, wait for the break, correction, and sell. So I'm more interested in looking for the sells at this stage while we have all this divergence. The DAX, for the ABC, we're still in the bullish trend. We've broken this. We've broken out of this wedge. Hasn't broken impulsively. So it's looking more bullish, but it's still looking bullish. Actually, it's broken the trend line there, so have a look. See, this is some sort of a flat in here. Let's go and break that top. Yeah, very tricky. We don't have any bullish divergence. So this is looking like a flat. So sort of we got one up here, 1, 2, 3. Then we get that 1, 2, 3. 4 more downside. It may go and break this top. The higher it goes, I'm really only looking for sells up here because of all the bearish divergence. Yeah, ideally we get another move up here. This is impulsive. Then we get a bear set up in here. Get that bear set up. Look for that sell. So that's about it this week. It's going to be really tough trading this week, I think, unless we get some really nice setups. But yeah, trade safe, and I'll see you out there next week. I hope you enjoyed the video. Take care.